Hey, so just a warning before I start the video, we're gonna get into a lot of fucked up topics. So if you don't want to hear shit like physical and mental abuse, self-harm, suicide, drug abuse, rape, all that fun shit, it's okay. You could leave. I get it. Like, not everyone's a stupid psychopath like me. I will not judge you if you leave. Literally, click off this video. It's fine. You can watch another video of mine. If you want to watch stuff about like me talking about poo poo and dicks and fun stuff like that while playing video games, you could watch like a lot of my other videos. If you want to watch me getting high reading One Piece, you could watch that. You don't have to watch this, homie. I get it. But if you do want to watch this for some reason, I think this is a very important topic that should be discussed more. And I'm very passionate about this topic. So I've come here to discuss it because I think that understanding this and understanding why people do things as a result of pain and why people do things as a result of abuse will help people just understand each other. Because for me, understanding why I did things as a result of my past and all that fun shit helps me heal. Because, you know, it's one thing to be like, oh yeah, I had a fuck up past, but if it's another thing to be like, oh, I do this because of that, and that's how you can heal from your past. And I also think it's important from people that don't know, that aren't being abused, like people that are just having a good life or whatever, to understand these things. Because understanding other people and understanding why people act the way they do and understanding how things affect other people just makes things easier. And I truly believe if we could understand each other and if we could understand why people are dicks sometimes and why people are good and what affects people and stuff, we'll just become better. Like, I truly believe if we could understand each other, like, life will be so much easier and the world would just be a better place, you know? So I'm trying to help you understand why people that go through so much abuse act the way they do, and I'm also trying to help the people that go through all of that shit to understand why they're acting that way and why all of this is happening to them. And hopefully if you could understand all of that and if you could understand why all this affects you the way it does, you can heal from it. Also, just a warning, not a professional. I am not a professional. But I did do a tiny bit of research, a tiny bit, just to make sure I'm not lying to you about everything, you know? This beanie is making me self-conscious. Fuck you, beanie. But also I'm having a bad hair day, so I need the beanie. But, like, you know, it is what it is. But, face. Anyways, I'm not going to worry about that. We're just going to talk about the important shit. Fuck you. Fuck you myself. But, yeah, so I think it's very important that people understand this. And also, oh yeah, what I was saying, I'm not a professional, did a little bit of research to make sure I'm not lying to you about all this, and like, I fact-checked myself, but not too much research, so like, don't be like, this is the holy grail of videos and this is how I'm gonna base myself. I recommend you do more research on this topic if you're interested, but that being said, I do have a lot of experience in this field. Not like educationally, but like I went through a lot of abuse as a kid, and all of my friends also went through a lot of abuse because we bonded over the fact that our lives are pretty fucked up. So like most of my friends growing up went through a lot of shit. So I'm gonna give you a lot of things from research and a lot of things from my childhood and a lot of things from my friend's childhood as examples and to help you understand why abuse affects people the way it does. Hey, so this is editing me. This is me from the future. This video gets kind of hard to watch, alright? Like, it's very dark, and I kind of get emotional, and it's a sad time. I'm gonna be honest with you. Some of this video is just not a fun time to watch, and it gets very sad. But I promise there's a good message at the end of it. But if you don't want to watch a very sad video, understandable. But I promise, like, it's not all just me talking about sad shit just to make you sad. There's a good message at the end, and I'm kind of proud of it, I guess. And I think it's important for people to hear that. And maybe I could have worded it better, but we'll figure that out in the future. For now, this is what we got. So I think the most important thing that I had to realize and the most harmful thing about abuse. And the most fucked up thing about abuse is you learn to just hate yourself. You learn that everything you do is wrong, you know? And you learn you have to suppress yourself and become another person in order to fit into society and survive. See, my name's not, like, my birth name. My name is Atlas, but my birth name, not really Atlas. Surprise, surprise. My birth name is a very straight white name, you know? And it's very conservative and all that fun stuff. And my parents grew up very, very conservative. Also, like, you could believe in what you want politically, but this type of conservative is like openly racist, like says the N-word, actually hate crimes, minorities, you know, that fun stuff, like actually like actively hates minorities and stuff like that. So that's the context I'm giving you. So I was raised to fill that role. I was raised to be like, yo, just remember, minorities, bad. Gay people deserve to go to hell. You should just worship God above and be a red-blooded American, because you, my good sir, are going to be an NFL star. You're going to go raised, you're going to be in varsity football, and then you're going to go to UCLA, and then you're going to be an NFL star. That was my path laid out for me. I did not really choose my own future as a kid. It was chosen for me, and it was fundamentally against everything that makes me me, and that makes me a person. See, my first memory was a funky little one. My sister and I went to a church because they were supporting the LGBT community, and my family protested it and was like, gay people bad, and then my mom was like, hey, my sister, she told my sister, hey, if you stand on that corner, you could be in TV. And she was like, whoa, you know? And I'm not going to give you more examples, but there's a lot more examples. Like, I was treated as a freak for liking anime. I was treated badly for liking video games. So I learned to suppress every bit of that self from myself and from other people. So growing up, I had this view where if I showed any sense of individuality and if I showed any sense of what makes me me, it's completely and fundamentally wrong, and I should suppress it in order to be a different person. So I grew up teaching myself how to be anyone but myself, and I learned to hate everything that makes me me. I learned to be like, oh, gay is bad, so you shouldn't be gay, even though I'm fundamentally pan. You know, I'm pan. I just kiss hot people. I don't care what your gender is. I'm smooching you as long as you're hot and overaged. Over 18. Not overaged. I probably wouldn't kiss a 90-year-old, but maybe if they're hot enough, man. Who knows? But yeah, it's like I basically learned everything I like as a person is fundamentally wrong, and it gave me so much anxiety, because I basically was in the mindset every time I showed a little bit of my personality, I would get punished, because every time I did with my parents, I did get punished, and so I was never able to be myself. So every time I would make friends or anything, they wouldn't be my real friends. Like, I wouldn't really get along with them because I think they knew I was suppressing part of myself and just being a shallow version of what I'm trying to portray, because that's not truly who I am. And I would never get along with them because they don't like anything I like, you know? So I never really had many friends, and it was hard to have relationships and just function in society, because every time people would talk to me, I would have a panic attack and be like, okay, I can't tell anyone I like video games, I can't tell anyone I like anime, I can't tell anyone I'm not straight, I can't tell anyone anything about myself, I can't tell anyone anything that shows my real personality, because if I do, they'll tell everyone, and everyone will know that I'm just a failure, and that I'm just a reject, and I'm a weirdo, I'm a creep, what the hell am I doing here, you know? And, yeah, so basically, I was in this mindset that I can't let anything slip, and I had to choose every single word of mine very carefully, and I was, every time, like, I slipped up and showed my real personality, showed my, like, real smile, like, actually laughed genuinely, because I hated my laugh and I hated my smile, they would, like, tell everyone, and my life will be ruined, you know? I thought, like, if I slightly slip up in the slightest, I will never be happy ever again, and, everything will just get worse and worse until I die, and it's really, really hard to go through that. You know how much fucking anxiety that causes? That I would have panic attacks literally every time I would talk to a waiter. I would have panic attacks every time I talked to my own friends, because they weren't really my friends, you know? So, like, it was hard to talk to anyone. It was hard to form relationships, because I thought that if I showed my genuine self, no one will ever love me again, which is really hard. And needless to say, I was a very lonely kid and I had a lot of anxiety. And that's just how I learned to grow up, because every time I did show myself, I got punished. So I just assumed that would be like for everyone. And I assumed that this relationship I have with my parents will be like for everyone, because that's what you grow to know. You don't really know many people as a kid. So when you grow up where you're being like everything you believe in is wrong, you believe everyone feels that way. And it's hard, man. But yeah, and then you start feeding into what they say about you. A lot of times I wouldn't even like do bad stuff, but my mom would be like, "You're a druggie, you're useless, you're a piece of shit," and stuff like that. And I wasn't, you know. Fun fact, my mom started accusing me of using steroids and cocaine before I even tried any drugs. So that was fun. So like she was always like, "You're using steroids, you're using cocaine, you're on drugs, you're on drugs." And after like years of that, I was just like, fuck it, man. I'm already viewed as this worthless druggie. I'm worthless because I truly viewed myself as worthless. And honestly, I was so scared of drugs back then that I didn't want to do them. But because I was already viewed as this useless druggie, I was like, fuck it, man. And I don't think I ever really wanted to, but because day after day, she was like, "This is who you are," I kind of started leaning into that. And it's hard because I never really wanted to, but then I started doing it, you know? Because their view of me that they projected on me is how I started viewing myself. And it wasn't a nice view, so I started feeding into it. And they were like, "You're a piece of shit, you're just like a fucking criminal and narcissist," and stuff like that. And I tried to fight it for a while, but I think eventually my brain broke and I was like, fuck it, let's just start stealing, let's just start like caring less about people and stuff like that. And so then I just started like becoming reckless, doing like dumb shit just for funsies and stuff like that. Because I cared so little about myself, I started getting into like really, really bad relationships and stuff like that. Because with abuse, something that's very common is even in relationships, you choose to tend the worst option because it's more comforting. Or you tend to choose. Yeah, did I say that correctly? I don't know. But I remember it got to a point where I would always choose really, really bad relationships, and at the beginning they would be like, "Oh, I love you, I would do anything for you," and then at the end they'll just like manipulate me, really, really badly abuse me, and just have a really, really horrible relationship, and just, it was not a good time, I'm gonna be honest with you. So it got to the point where, there was this guy I liked, and everyone was like, "He's so horrible, he's abusive, he's manipulative and stuff," and he was like, they were like, "You do not want to date this person." And that made me want to date them more, because I was at the point where like I thought everyone was just gonna hurt me, and I thought everyone was like that, and I was more comfortable with this guy because he was openly not a good person, and that was very comforting to me, because I was like, oh, I don't want to have that like 2 months of like, I love you, I'll do anything for you, and be good, and then slowly learn that they're really bad, and then the end of the relationship just be horrible abuse. So I was just like, I just want to be okay and know what I'm getting myself into and stuff. So I was more comfortable choosing that because I thought that no matter what I choose, I would get hurt. But it was more comforting me because now I know I'm going to get hurt. And also, like, being in a stable relationship is so unsettling when you're used to that much abuse, because you're just like, when are they going to hurt me? And it kind of makes you go into panic mode. And I found that every time I would get into a stable relationship, I wouldn't like it, because I'm used to not being in stable relationships. I'm used to being constantly abused. And I would also get scared, because I was like, this is like everything I've ever wanted in life, and this is like a really good relationship that I think will actually work out. So then I would leave because I was so scared of actually getting hurt. Because, being in an abusive relationship doesn't hurt as much as like having everything you want only to break up or them to die, which happened, And so like after being in so many relationships, and the only good relationship I've ever been in, they died, I started just liking being in bad relationships, which just makes everything worse, But it was more comforting to have a bad relationship, because when they leave or when you break up, you're like, oh, that was so shitty. So then you kind of find comfort in the fact that you're not in a relationship now. But if you're in a good relationship, you're like, life is ruined when they leave you. And I thought that I was unlovable, I thought the fact that I would be in a good relationship and they would actually like me was not it, I didn't think it was possible. I didn't think it was possible for me to actually be loved and liked. So I got into this mindset where I'm only good for like sexual stuff, and because that growing up, that I was pretty good at flirting, and because people were like, ooh, you're pretty attractive, I just assumed that's the only reason people loved me. Or they would hear about my life, and they would be like, oh, I'm so sorry you went through all that, and stuff like that. So like, I feel like the only time people ever showed emotions to me that they cared was either, hey, you're attractive, let's frick, or like, I'm so sorry you went through all that as a kid, I'm so sorry, I just want to protect you, So I got into the mindset that no one could actually love me, and no one will actually love me, and people either want to be with me because of how bad my life has been, and they just feel bad for me, and no one actually cares for me. It's just I tricked them into almost caring for me, and when they got attached, I was like, by the way, I'm gonna die, and then they just stayed because they didn't want to see someone they kind of like die. And that's how I was convinced that people viewed me. Obviously, people actually liked me for who I am, but I just didn't think that was possible at the time. Or people would just be like, let's frick, and then I would be like, yeah, because that's how people liked me, and then they would leave because it's just a one-night stand, and I would feel like shit. So I thought my only value in life was as a sexual object, or just someone to feel bad for because you don't want to see someone die, because obviously watching someone die is not that fun. That's a really bad mindset to get into. So after a while, I didn't even like sex. I was just like, oh, it feels pretty good, but I just have a panic attack after every time, and I don't like the feeling of like one night stands and stuff like that. And I was just like, this feels like shit every time, and I would just have panic attacks every time I did it. But it was the only time people seemed like they cared for me, so I just became a little slut, a little cum whore. Stuff like that is why I think people that have gone through a bunch of abuse continue to go into abusive relationships and stuff like that. And it's also like, my parents were very neglectful and stuff like that, and a lot of people I've dated were neglectful. So it feels like the only time people actually seemed to show emotions towards me and care for me was when I was getting abused. So in a weird way, abuse was kind of comforting, because that's the only time people seemed to care for me or show emotions. So when I would get into relationships, I would like that they abused me, because I thought being like, I love you and stuff like that was just a way to manipulate me. So I never truly believed anyone when they were genuinely good to me, because I thought they were just trying to pull one on me, or like they didn't really love me, and they'll soon find out that I'm just a shallow human, and they'll leave me, which is more painful than just getting abused. Because I thought abuse was love, and I thought showing emotion, aka abuse, was the only time I'd ever be loved. And I knew it wasn't healthy, but because the way I was raised, and because growing up, I was raised to be like, you're a piece of shit, you're a narcissist, you lie to everyone, you can't make friends. Because I think another thing that fed into this mindset was, I think I was 15 or something. My mom told me, and I quote, or I don't know if this is a direct quote, I might like be missaying it a little bit, but this is basically what she said. She said, you're a piece of shit, and no one likes you, you know? And she said, you lie to people about me, about how I abuse you and stuff, so people feel bad to you, or about you because you can't make friends, so you have to lie to them to make them feel bad for you, and that's the only way people care for you, you know? And I kind of took that to heart, and growing up thinking like I'm a narcissist, I'm this piece of shit, it made me feel like every time something bad's happened to me, I deserved it. And I only deserve bad things, so in a way of self-preservation and protection, I think I started making my life worse on purpose, and hurting myself and others on purpose to protect myself, because I was like, oh, this person cares for me, I'm gonna distance myself and like ruin this relationship on purpose, because I was convinced that everyone was out to get me, and the only people that could care for me were the people that would abuse me. And for me and a lot of my friends, I feel like we're gonna get into self-harm now. I feel like we self-harm because there's this feeling of badness, and like this feeling of I need to be punished because really, really bad things are happening and I haven't done anything. So like you get into the cycle of like you slightly misbehaving. Like sometimes I would just be, mom would be like, take out the trash, and I'd be like, okay, and then she'd be like, why did you say that? And a lot of bad arguments and bad stuff will happen because of that. So like this slight misbehavior that isn't conforming to society leads to punishment, and these anxious feelings when you're getting overwhelmed and overstimulated, so you act out in a little bit irrationally because you're like, there's so much anxiety, there's so much emotions, I'm overwhelmed, I'm overstimulated, let's act out this way. That leads to punishment. So when you're feeling all these emotions, all this overwhelming feelings, and you don't get punished, you start going crazy, and that's when you punish yourself, and that's when a lot of people self-harm, or at least from what I know. And going from all these overwhelming feelings to punishment is kind of a sense of relief, because it's like, it's over now. So a lot of times I would have these overwhelming feelings, I feel like I would throw up, I would like just not be able to stop myself, I would just be shaking and just crying, screaming, you know, all that fun stuff. Then you would, you know, do a little cut, and then you would just be like, you know, and then the blood would flow and it would be really warm, and you would be like, it's over now. But also, don't fucking do that, alright? It's a really bad habit to get into, and obviously it's not healthy, and obviously you shouldn't do it. Don't do anything I do in this video. I just want to help you understand why people do this stuff, and why this happens to people, and why people act this way. But I don't recommend you do any of it, and I'm sorry, but this is not a fun video. I thought I would be able to like make jokes and make it a little bit more entertaining, but I think I got emotional in this video, so it's not nearly as fun as I thought it would. And going into this video, I thought it wouldn't be fun at all, so sorry for that. And then you just kind of like start feeling a lack of self-care, you know? You're like, what's the point? I'm useless, I'm worthless anyways, why brush my teeth, why shower, people always views me as a freak anyways, why not be smelly and stuff like that. So, you know, a lot of people just don't take care of yourself, and it goes from the semi-minor things like not brushing your teeth and showering to the very, very major things like getting addicted to drugs, because you're like, no one cares for me, there's no hope for me in the future, I'm gonna die a worthless death anyways. So why not just fuck it, we ball, let's get more addicted to more and more drugs, because at least it feels good, and at least I'll have a good time on my way out. But it will actually just make your time worse on your way out, because they're very, very painful, withdrawals, overdoses, not fun, and you'll be broke. You'll be so fucking broke, you idiot. But it's okay, I get it, I was like that too. And then you start like viewing yourself weirdly, because like every time like you would eat like junk food or something, my mom would be like, you piece of shit, like how are you not like fat, you how do you have energy because you're only eating shit and stuff like that. And then she would be like, you deserve to be fat, or whatever the fuck she would say, and just like judge me every time I would eat. So then I would just not eat around her, and that takes up a lot of my eating time. And then I would feel myself weird because I would like see like a tiny piece of fat on my body and be like, I can't eat now, I'm gonna starve myself so I could get rid of the fat. And then a combination of not being able to eat around them not feeding me, because a lot of times they would starve me every time I didn't have a job. Like whenever I didn't have a job, they would starve me, not give me food, stuff like that, so I would be forced to get a job. So like in combination with getting starved, not eating around them, and just like every time I would see a pinch of fat on myself because of the judgment they ensued on me, I would like starve myself because I thought that was how you lose weight. Turns out that's not a healthy way to lose weight, because when your body gets into starving, it's like we need to store as much fat as possible when we do have food because it thinks you're going to starve. So actually doing that makes you gain weight. So not a healthy way, but I think I did that and then I gained weight, so then I decided to starve myself more, and that's when the eating disorder started. And then something weird I always noticed is the days where I'm like, today's the day I'm going to commit suicide. Sorry, it's going to get dark, but today's the day I'm going to commit suicide. Today's the day it's going to end, and all that good stuff. Was the happiest days of my life, you know? Or like, it was before. Now I've had happier, obviously, but like, in the dark ages, it was the happiest day of the dark ages. Now I actually have happy days where it's just like I'm going out with friends and like I'm genuinely happy, because I'm a genuinely happy person now. But those days, like, I felt so free and stuff. Like, I would go to the store and actually buy myself stuff, which I would never do before because I was in a constant state of survival. I'm like, I can't spend any money or else I'll starve to death. And I would buy myself ice cream because I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna die anyways. I would like talk to cute girls because I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna die anyways. Who cares about rejection? And I just was so free. And it was like, fuck it, I'm gonna die anyways. Why not just like actually take care of myself and stuff? Because this is my last day. And I realized that like I wasn't like, I don't think I ever wanted to die. I just wanted to be free, you know? Just free from all the abuse and stuff. Like, I was enslaved to, like, the view my parents had on me and the view that they projected onto me. And I just wanted to be myself. And I think, like, getting that close to death helped me realize, oh, I don't really want to die. I just want things to be different. I just don't want to be myself. And I realized I don't want to be myself because that wasn't who I was. I'm fundamentally different than that. Like, I'm fundamentally not anything they raised me to be. So, like, that helped a lot because it's like, I don't want to be who I am. So then I changed who I am because I'm actually who I want to be now. I'm actually who I dreamed of being as a kid, but I repressed it so much because I didn't think it was okay to be that. And I was just like, I don't really want to die. I just want to break, and I just want to not be myself. I just want to live any other life other than this one. And now that I'm living this life, I'm the happiest I've ever been. Like, I look back, I'm like, I'm kind of glad I went through all that, because now I am who I am today. And this is the happiest period of my life. Like, because I went through all that, I could figure out who I am today. And I made friends that actually genuinely love me. And not the friends that I pretended to have because that's who I thought would be okay with my parents. I made friends that are genuinely friends and that genuinely care for me. And they taught me to be myself. And they taught me to love myself. They taught me healthy ways to deal with my trauma. And they taught me how to be happy. And now I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. And looking back, it's really hard to say because I went through a lot of really, really bad stuff. But looking back, I'm like, if I could change anything, I really wouldn't. I wouldn't want to go through that again, obviously, because like it's hard. But if I could change my past, I wouldn't, because I think I am who I am today because of it, and I'm myself now because of all of that. And I've learned to actually be genuinely who I want to be because I went through all of that, and I learned the hard way. Hey, don't repress yourself. Don't do all of the shit I just mentioned. Don't do that. I've learned how to be healthy and live a healthy, happy life in the worst way possible. But now, because I went through all of that, I learned that I could help others. A lot of my friends were going through a lot of similar situations as me. And a lot of my friends are mentally ill. So a lot of times they go through tough times. And me being able to relate to them, because I went through a lot of shit. So I could understand a lot of people when they have really, really bad things happen to them. And it's one thing to be like, oh, I feel so bad, I can't even imagine that. Like, that doesn't really help that much, But having someone, like, just listening to all of your pain, they're just like, oh, this is what happened to me, and I was just like, yeah, I get it. And just listening, I didn't even really say that much, but I was just like, I get it. I understand, Because they knew I could understand, because a lot of them knew my story. And just having someone there just to be like, I genuinely understand. And I was like, hey, this helped me, maybe this can help you. Or like, talk to them about things that might be helpful. Because I went through all of that, I've helped a lot of my friends. And I don't think a couple of them would be here if it wasn't for that. So I think that makes me sane, And that's why I want to spend as much time and effort as I can as helping as many people as I can, because it makes me sane. It's the reason I'm okay with going through all of that, because though I went through all of that, I'm happy now, and I could help people now. And that's why when I look back at my past, I'm like, I wouldn't change anything, because now I am who I am today, and I could help a lot of people today because of that. And because I've been able to help a lot of my friends, because I've been able to help myself and become myself and not suppress anything about me and truly live the way I would want to live, I'm now the happiest I've ever been in my life. This is the best time in my life, and I'm not even like where I want to be in the future. Like, I didn't even meet any of my big boy goals yet, and I'm already content. Like, I want to be a famous YouTuber so I could spread as much mental health stuff as possible. I want to be an actor because it seems fun, and I've always wanted to be an actor as a kid, so I'm going to acting classes and stuff. And I want to be in a movie because I think that would be sick as shit, and I want to write a script to help people with mental health, and I want to do so much stuff, and I'm doing all that stuff, and I'm not even close to being there yet. I'm still very far away, probably years before I actually make it in life. But this is like the happiest I've ever been in life. So I say all that bad shit. I say like all this bad shit that happens to victims of abuse. But I also just want you to know, if you're going through it, if you could find a way to make it through it, if you could find a way to make it out of there, it's gonna be okay, buddy. You could be happy. You could be okay. You could have a good life. No matter how bad it seems, trust me, it gets bad. It gets really fucking bad. If you could find a way to just make it, and if you could find a way to heal from it, have a beautiful life. Because you could either get worse and have all that stuff I listed just get worse and worse until you die. Let's be honest, that's the reality. But if you could find a healthy way to heal from it, and if you could find a healthy way to be happy, you could do so much beautiful stuff. Because a lot of the kindest and sweetest and best people in the world have gone through a lot of shit. Because they know how it feels to be like that. So if you know how it feels, don't think that takes a hold of you. Don't think that's who you are. Don't think that's all you're meant to be. Because trust me, I know how it feels. And I know how you could get into that mindset of like, this is all I am, this trauma defines me. It doesn't define you. You could be happy in spite of the trauma. And you can be who you are in spite of the trauma, not because of it. So if you're in that hole, I want you to know it's gonna be okay. And just know, it may not seem like it now, like your friends may be dicks and stuff like that, but if you're in that hole, there's probably someone that cares for you, and there's probably someone that loves you. Just hold on to that someone, and they'll probably be here to listen to you when you're down in the dumps. When life is seeming unbearable, they'll be here for you. If you could hold on to that person, life will be okay. And if you don't have a person, I don't have many things to do. I have a lot of free time. You could just hit me up. I got you, homie. I'll be here to listen. I probably will take forever to respond because I'm horrible at texting. But if you ever want to dump, why not? You know? But yeah, that's my video. Sorry it was very sad, but I try to have a happy ending because, you know, I gotta give people hope after traumatizing them with the rest of the video. But yeah. If you like this for some reason, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you later, nerd faces, dickwads.